SWEEEP, the Steve Dangle Podcast, with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
Well, hi there, and welcome to 2020 Fur. Hi. 2020 Fur is around. It's on us. It's here.
Yeah. Hey, I'm on a mission, bro. I'm going to have 22 fours in 24. That's how we're doing it. We're doing 22 fours in 2024, bro.
You know what I like about this time of year is all the billboards on the way to work saying, hey, you know how we told you to indulge at Christmas? Well, stop that and get to the gym.
Yeah.
Bomb loser.
Hey, fat garbage.
Did you renew your Equinox membership?
I sure did. Because I want to run my dog, not walk them.
And then you go on social media and you see someone trying, and then there's some roid head going, look at this fucking loser trying. There's already one going viral.
Is there really?
Someone, you know the like hexagon squat thing, deadlift thing?
Yes, yeah.
That you step into. I don't know how to describe it.
You did a very good job.
Yes, thank you. And they put 10-pound plates on either side. Mm-hmm. I mean, you, a normal, would be like, oh, there's someone trying it for the first time. Mm-hmm. And someone else said, what is this shit?
Oh my!
Imagine trying.
One thing about those videos these days, a lot of them are fake.
Oh, are they?
A lot of those, oh, look at this fucking loser, is the dude setting up somebody who's acting to do that so that their channel can just go viral.
Listen, a very important thing to know about the current world that we live in is nothing is real.
No.
Yeah.
Adam, Jesse, and I, we don't know each other. We're industry plants like the Spice Girls.
Yeah, actually,
that's it.
We're not even real people. We're holograms like Tupac at Coachella.
Remember?
Yeah, I do.
That was the craziest.
That was kind of crazy, and that was pre-AI. Hey, by the way, a couple weeks from now, we got a show in Kingston.
Yeah.
There are still tickets available. The VIP bundle is sold out, but you'd still get a ticket to the game. You'd still get to come see us at the Tap House. You still get the meal comped, and it's $50. Go to KingstonFrontenac.com for that. We're so excited. This is going to be a blast.
And we get jerseys.
Yeah, they tweeted out the jerseys.
I forgot.
Yeah, isn't that awesome?
They like asked for sizes for stuff, but I was just like,
there was a lot of people who were like, that seems to be an improvement on those Oshawa Generals jerseys.
Well, hey,
and they were like, France were like, That's what we thought.
Listen, we can't disparage the team that Deke cheers for.
The Toronto.
Who's Deke?
Deke is the mascot for the Oshawa Generals, who my son Leo met over Christmas, and was he chuffed.
I'm more partial to Barrick the Bear. And I think Jesse is too. I think he knows.
We need to meet Barrick.
Yeah, Barrick the Bear. I was trying to pull up the jerseys here. Maddie, if you want to pull them up here.
We got to meet.
Yeah, look at that.
They look pretty snazzy.
Yeah.
People didn't know that was your number, Steve. That a lot of people still don't know that 20 is your number.
Yeah.
It used to be, why did you change it from 10?
Because they retired George Armstrong's 10. And from that day on, I was like, it still feels now it feels weird to wear this.
Right.
And then he passed away, and like I think that day was the last time I wore it.
Well, and you are a Leaf legend. So
am.
You gotta stop wearing that jersey.
Who have they had wear 20 since I switched to 20?
Yes, I made Jesse laugh. First time in 2024, I made Jesse laugh. All right.
Now, like chirping
Nick Ritchie.
Steve about having his name on the back of a jersey and you acting like you played for the team. It's it always makes me laugh.
By the way, I know
ridiculous.
Jesse. We're doing this for promotional purposes, but Jesse, you hate a name on the back of the jersey. Normally.
Yeah, I didn't play for the team. I think it's Tim and Sid used to play a great game called Cut or Uncut, and I think it's cut to have your name on the back of a jersey. There's other circumstances where it's like, oh, you're a pro athlete, like RJ Barrett. He's back in Toronto. He went to the Blue Jays game. They gave him a jersey with Barrett on the back. He's a pro athlete. It makes a little sense, you know?
Oh,
but
stop. He didn't play for the Jays.
He didn't, but it makes a little bit more sense.
Yes.
They don't call him Blue Jay Barrett.
If you're just,
you know what I mean?
If you're just a dude and you're like, you know what? Getting my name on that Leafs jersey.
Yeah?
It's a little cut.
No, absolutely not.
I don't care. I'm a fan. I'm here longer.
Every time I see an interesting jersey at a game, I am stopping. And looking. Game 6, Leafs Capitals 2017. I still remember sitting behind a guy whose number was 420 and his nameplate said Wild Bill.
Yo, Bill, you got to party with Bill.
You got to party with Wild Bill 420. But why is the number so high? I don't get it.
That's got to be custom. Like, Leafs aren't putting that.
No, they sold that at Real Sports.
No.
And, okay, so for those who don't know, my mom is still on a radio station called 104.5 Chum FM, and when we were growing up, I didn't have a Leafs jersey that fit me. And this is before Christmas, and I've been asking for one. So she's like, "You could just wear mine," and it had a 104.5 on the back. And I was like, "No, I can't." Like that, I couldn't do.
I really wanted the story of you wearing that and getting ripped to shreds.
No, man, no. I was
Dennis too.
What's that?
Does it say Dennis?
No, it
104.5?
didn't have the name on the back. Did not have the
no.
nameplate, but it did have just the 104.5.
Yeah, no, that's ridiculous.
No, you can't.
Yeah, my mom gave me her custom jersey from her work too.
What was that?
It just
What was
said
that?
Yellow Pages on the back. Yeah. She used to work at Yellow Pages.
My dad had an LA Kings jersey for some reason because Gretzky had been traded to the Kings and there was some sort of promo on or whatever. And so but it was one of those, remember those crappy 90s iron-on jerseys? Like literally it was like a shiny plastic that they just heated up and so I would wear it and then it would like one of the nines started to sort of peel off and it was rough. It was rough. By the way, the Leafs just tweeted this 8 for 88. They've officially announced the William Nylander extension as of like 2 minutes ago. Thank you to Justin Fisher, who was in the other room sending me that.
They said 8 for 88.
Yeah.
There it is.
See, 8 for 88 actually would have been a deal. I would have been okay with the jersey number being in. Because 92 is bigger than 88.
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
Yeah.
We saved a lot of money because he wanted his jersey and the number.
William Nylander said, "All right, Steve, got something for your ass." And fucking signed for 92 mil.
So obviously we got to lead with this because this is the big story. My first question to the two of you is, has William Nylander officially surpassed Eric Lindros as the best player to wear 88 for the Toronto Maple Leafs?
He's still got to prove himself. He's still got to.
Eric played, I think, 33 games.
It's worth telling the story.
Do it.
I'll tell the story again. So we at the Easter Seals Eric Lindros Celebrity Hockey Classic. If you were the top fundraising team, you got Eric Lindros to be on your team. We got him, and I said, Eric, like I had never played with him before. I go, I have one request. I want you to wear your Leafs jersey because all the alumni always played in their alumni jersey. And I knew he had a Flyers one, but I was like, I would like you to wear the Leafs jersey. And he goes, okay. And he had his Leaf jersey hanging in his stall. I was there before him. And I was like, okay, great. But I noticed there was a Flyers 88 jersey next to him. And I went, interesting. He puts the Leafs jersey on, goes out onto the ice, and the first team we're playing is John LeClair's team. And John LeClair looks him up and down and just goes, really? And Eric goes, yeah, you're right. He didn't play a shift in that Leaf jersey. He walked right off the ice and switched jerseys. And I went, hey, you're still the highest scoring player to ever wear that jersey. Because Nylander had just changed to 88. And he goes, no, I only had like 20 something points. I go, you had 33. He goes, I did? Huh. And he just turns around, walks into the dressing room. He didn't even know. He didn't even know.
Well, when you score that many points, I think you can forget some of the seasons you had.
He's in the Hall.
William Nylander, officially 8 years, $11.5 million per year, full no movement clause. And we had Jesse's reaction to this on the Jesse Blake Sports Report this weekend. Steve's got a video which will be up by the time far before this video
just shot
it. So Jesse, we'll start with you. Yay or nay on this?
Yay. Yeah, there's a couple of things here. In one, you didn't have a choice. Like you fold the franchise. You fold the franchise if you're going to build a guy for a decade and a half in your organization. You draft him, and then when he's performing his best, you're like, no, we're not going to sign you. That's a ridiculous.
But enough about Zach Hyman.
That's a ridiculous way to run an organization. I think you're at an impasse here where you have to sign him. You have to bring in the second best player on your roster. I would say right now the second most popular player on your team.
Yes.
It'd be absurd if the Leafs went into the playoffs with him unsigned. If they went into the offseason, he just walked away. That would be far more crazy than anything we've had in the last 2 decades of Leafs fandom. So I think right there you have to do it. And now it's a matter of, okay, you're in this situation. Is it possible to build a Stanley Cup winning team with these guys locked up next year? And then moving forward after next year, everything kind of looks good. A lot of money comes off the books after next year, and where the cap crunch comes is really for one season next year.
And I think you're looking at this, and Steve, by the way, are you a yay or a nay on this?
I'm a. My heart says yay. My brain says nay. There you go.
Okay.
You would walk away from this player.
I didn't say that. Ed just said that it sucks. He's making 11.5. Dude, they can't do this. They can't do this.
Why not?
They can't fucking afford it. Oh, man, well, I like Matthews. Oh, man, well, I like Nylander. Oh, man, well, I like Tavares. Oh, man, well, I like Marner. Oh, man, well, I like Riley. And, well, you get to like 5 people then. Because there's no room for anyone else.
I like Ferraris.
Yeah.
I like McLaren's better, but I like Ferraris.
Yeah.
They're expensive.
Like, there's a salary cap. There's a salary cap. And like, no one wants to hear that. There's 2 ways of dealing with this. When I watch hockey games, I'm not going to be watching William Nylander going, gosh, he makes so much.
No.
Like, I'm going to be going, holy shit, look at that thing he just did. And he plays for my team. Lol, that's hilarious. But when push comes to shove and they got to make difficult decisions, I'm going to be like, they can't fucking do this.
See,
They have too much tied up in 4 people.
I am yay to the moon on this. Because I'm not thinking about the other guys. I'm thinking about Nylander.
Yeah.
Nylander in a vacuum. I will listen to your arguments about the rest of the team.
Sure.
But that wasn't the question. The question was, do you like William Nylander at 11.5? And I do. I think that you can make the argument that, they've paid a touch too much or whatever. The reality of the situation is this player was going to get paid in free agency. He was going to get his 7 years. He was going to get over $13 million. The reason that it's under $11 million is because they were able to aggregate that over 8 years instead of 7. This guy in free agency, the whole point about going to free agency with a ton of cap room is most of the time, 9 times out of 10, unless you've got crazy rookies, you're looking for great players. And you're accepting the fact that you're going to overpay for those great players. And so the Leafs already have great players. Retain the great players.
I agree.
Now, when people go, well, but the playoffs, but the rest of the team, totally.
Well, he's the only performer.
What's that?
He's the only consistent performer.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. This is the guy that to me was worth the price of admission. If you go back, and this is where I get a little bit frustrated with people because inevitably when you're at like Christmas parties, people come up and go, hey, so what do you think about? And one of the things I got this year is like, yeah, but those guys disappear in the playoffs. And my rebuttal to that is, who disappears in the playoffs? Well, the big 3. I'm like,
Who's the big 3?
Who's the big 3?
Well, now it's a big 4.
Right. What is a big 4?
Marner is the cheapest member of the big 4.
But who quote unquote disappears or has bad playoffs? And then you literally pull up Hockey DB for these guys, and it's always guys, and show them and say, look at William Nylander's playoff performance the last 4 years.
Yep.
Consistent. And by the way, not just he doesn't do it all in like 3 games. He does it consistently throughout the series as well, because you have to look at that when you're looking at playoff performance. This player has blossomed into the player that everybody said he couldn't be. He has scored more goals from in tight. Like, I think a couple of years ago, he led the NHL in goals in front of the net or within 8 feet of the net.
He's one of the most versatile offensive players in the world.
Right. And of course, against San Jose, scores another couple goals right after Friedge announced the contract. So just for the contract alone, I think the Leafs played market value. Now, one of the questions that people had was, can they not win a negotiation? Not with a UFA. You will not win a negotiation with the UFA.
There's an RFA last time.
The question is, do you want the player? If you want the player, you're paying the freight. You might get a little discount. And the time to win those negotiations was 2018 and 2019 because they were RFAs. That was the time to win them. Now you can't win them because they're UFAs and they've earned that. And by the way, even if you did get him at 10, which before the season started, we're like, no way, no how. He's a different player this year. What's that extra $1.5 million going to get you?
All right.
What's it going to get you?
So I have an idea for something the Leafs should do in the offseason.
Okay.
Sign Sam Reinhart.
Well, and Sam Reinhart's numbers, I know why you're bringing that up. He's very similar to Willie.
Well, yeah, and he's a center. He's going to cost more because he's, unrestricted free agent. You can't give him the 8th year, so I think you should give him $12 million times 7. Adam, you got to get elite players, right?
Okay, well, so if you don't,
what we need them.
So you don't think the Leafs should have given Willie the 11.5?
It's not necessarily that I don't think they should have given it to him. It's that I cannot bring myself to be happy about it. I can't force. You ever try to trick yourself into having a good time at an event? Mm-hmm. I can't trick myself into being like, hooray.
Okay, so let me just throw this at you guys before, Jesse, I know you've got a point here. William Nylander, 54 points in 37 games. He's on pace for 120.
Yes.
Sam Reinhart, 39 points in 50 games. Here's the difference, though. William has 484 points over his career. Sam has 494. The difference is that William Nylander has played almost 100 less games. So I would say you're paying for a more consistent performer who's got a better resume. That is 100 game spread is enormous.
What I would say the bell curve I would put on that, Reinhart was on the miserable Buffalo Sabres. And also, if you go and look at the Florida Panthers, gosh, their stat breakdown is weird.
It is.
They're one of the best teams in the NHL, and they got one line. They got one line who's just ripping everybody to shreds.
Well, the rest of the team is just used to take the other team's good players out.
And literally take their skull,
dive bomb,
smash it into any object they can find.
Jesse, what do you want to say here?
Oh, yeah. So my follow-up question to that is, what would you have rather the Leafs done? Because it's the firing the coach thing. It's like, okay, you fire the coach, but then who's the coach? You replace him. So you're not happy with the contract. You can't convince yourself that this is a positive thing. So what would you have rather happened?
Well, so what I'm not going to do here is be a revisionist. So I'm not going to be like, they should have signed him at the cheaper number in the summer.
Yeah, so we can't say they should have picked the 10.5. You can't say they should have traded Marner. You can't do any of that. Right now, what would you like the Leafs to do?
And guess who was against giving him 9.5, 10 in the summer? Me. Mm-hmm. And you know who else
Me too.
was against it? Most of you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Most of you.
So right now, what would you like the Leafs to have done?
So I keep going back to them firing the general manager 5 weeks before the draft and free agency. I like the idea of Tavares taking less on his next deal. I think it's a possibility. But right now, they have Matthews, Nylander, Tavares, Marner, and I don't think they can afford it. Now, what I wanted them to do is trade Marner when they had the opportunity to. If you're committed to keeping Willie, everyone likes you when you're cheap. We'll see how people like him at 11.5. If you're committed to keeping Willie, you're committed to keeping Austin, there's a long-term plan with John Tavares. What are you committing to? My thing was they are committing to life without Mitch Marner. 100%. They're going to trade him. They're going to find a home for him, whatever. Now I suppose they're committing to just keep him. Just keep them all. And continue to try the same thing over and over and over again. You know what I don't like? On 32 Thoughts, they were talking about the Leafs trying to find a trade out there for an elite defenseman. Can you bring in an elite defenseman for
I think it was for Willie.
Yeah.
I think it's treating part of a conversation like the entire thing. That's what I didn't like about it.
What do you mean?
Well, the Leafs need an elite defenseman. So they got to go out there and they got to trade William Nylander and get a William Nylander equivalent in return. But those aren't available. What? Who told you that was the only option? That's not the only option. You can go out and get a goalie. You can go out and get a goalie and a defenseman. You can go out there and get two defensemen and a goalie. You can go out there and do your friggin' job. Like, you need to be able to get bargain bin guys in general. And with this cap structure, you need to be able to do it even more. What have they done? Like, what has the new administration done in terms of bargain bin guys? David Kampf? Nope.
I mean, he was a bargain bin guy.
I think the defensemen that
but that's not the current.
The defensemen that they've brought in at the minimum have performed very well.
They have performed
by the way,
very well.
Stop mentioning John Klingberg.
Have been awesome.
Sorry, Jesse, sorry to interrupt you. Stop mentioning John Klingberg, guys. He's not coming back. It's over.
It's 1 year.
It was 1 year. It's no big deal. But yeah, Jesse, I think you're right. The Lagusins, the Benoits, Even like Max Lajoie played games. He's not playing in the playoffs.
Yeah, but like,
fine.
okay, Lagesson, I think, has done better than people think. Benoit has done way better than people think or thought. Okay. Like, again, I'm like, you got to do this every year. What's Benoit going to sign for? Less than minimum?
Well, I think
can't.
I think you've probably got Sammy coming off the books, because either way, if Sammy regains his form or he does't, it's a 1-year deal, and he's not going to get paid that next year.
You're going to have the league's
And then you
first league minimum goalie tandem?
And then you don't have TJ Brody's number on the books next year. Maybe he comes back, but he's probably not at that number. And then Jesse, you mentioned that John Tavares is off the books after next year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Mitch Marner, to be fair.
Yeah.
Both of them come off the books. There's a lot of money in the 2025 offseason. Like the Leafs are just like free cap space. Everybody's off the books then. So, but like Steve, when I asked you the question, what would you do on what's today? I don't even know. January 7th, right. William Nylander is not signed yet. You went back and you did the revisionist history thing. How do you move forward? Would you have moved him for pieces? Is that what you think would have been the right move instead of signing him?
Is this the height of his value?
Yes.
For sure it is.
Yes.
That's when you move a guy.
So you think the correct move for Brad, looking at the roster, is you go get the pieces that William Nylander brings back?
We always do this. And I think, people talk about players being afraid to play in Toronto. I think this team is going to really struggle to succeed as long as general managers are afraid of this market. They've been doing this for years. There are moves I know Brian Burke made because he was worried about the wrath of Toronto. Here's a famous one. Brian McCabe. Brian McCabe scoring 20 friggin' goals. And there were people, it was sort of before social media, but there were people going, he's probably never going to do this again.
Trade him. And they kept him. And I actually was the one that was saying, I was like, trade JVR. Don't let him walk.
And
trade
then,
him.
And then what happened?
Well, they're going to the playoffs. I'm like, whatever, trade him. Now that is different though. Mm-hmm. That is different because JVR was, in my opinion, going to go past his prime and pretty quickly did in Philadelphia.
He wasn't a 27-year-old 40-goal scorer
on pace for 120 points.
He was an older 40-goal scorer.
And this is the thing. Like if Mitch Marner has a good back half of the year, this guy's having a bad year. Mitch Marner's having a bad year.
His underlying numbers are poo.
They're terrible, and yet he's on pace for 89 points.
I know.
Mm-hmm. So listen, if you have one guy on a team that's on track for 100 points. By the way, Matthews is on track for 103. You're laughing most of the time. That's great. The Leafs have guys who they have conceivably three guys. And if Tavares and Marner really kick it off, which they did a few years ago, what's the reason Tavares can't get close? And this is where the Leafs took a bet this summer. And they took the bet that you took, and then I took, and then a lot of people took, which is love Willie. That's not the number that we see him at. And then he came, and then they lost.
Yeah, they lost.
And what a great problem to have.
Yeah.
It is a great problem, but Marner's on pace for 89 points, and that's great. Is it $10.9 million great?
Not in today's NHL. No, he needs to be 100 points.
All of these guys have to be so preposterously, cartoonishly good to be. William Nylander is on pace for 120 points, and guess what? This is the best he's ever done in his entire life. He has to do that every year now. Every year.
I don't think so.
If he's on
going up.
What the
Cap's going
again,
up.
last the year, NHL, I do not give them the benefit of the doubt until I see the cap number go up. I don't give a shit. Also, the cap doesn't go up for the Leafs next year.
Well, that's the same.
Matthews, Willie, more than gone.
Last year, Austin Matthews scored 40 goals and was not worth $11.6 million. Mitch Marner this year is going to land somewhere 80 to 100 points. He's not going to be worth that cap number. But it isn't going to be one solid number. And I will give Mitch Marner the excuse for it looks like he has a hand injury. Like we've seen the Twitter sleuths have gotten that wrapped hand. And if he's in a similar situation to where Austin was last year, where Austin didn't get an off season and then came into last year and scored 40 goals, and we're like, oh man. Like, that fucking sucks. How are you going to ever pay him? And then you're like, no, it's Austin Matthews. He's going to bounce back and we're going to give him that money. If Mitch is just having a down year because his offseason was a little troubled and he has a hand injury, he didn't just lose his powers.
But then guess what? Next year he has a bounce back. He's a UFA.
Yeah.
When is the relief? There is no relief.
I don't think you want relief from good talent.
No. That's not what I mean. I don't mean relief is easy. Yeah, okay, fuck off. Get rid of
like Adam just said, it's a good problem if Mitch Marner comes out next year and scores 110 points.
And if you're a good player and you're a good team, you're going to have cap problems. Here's the thing. I think this all goes back, and I think rightfully so, it goes back to Kyle Dubas losing 3 negotiations in a row.
Yeah.
He lost the Nylander negotiation because if he had just given him the number in September and not tanked the guy's fucking season, the number was the same. When Kyle called him in December on 3 minutes before the fucking deadline, he's like, okay, that number in September, you want to do that? Okay, do that. So you held out for 3 months for nothing, Kyle. Okay.
Yes. No,
you sign Matthews at Christmas and Marner's agent flips his fucking shit. Flips his and by the way, Matthews is worth it.
Can't wait to deal with him.
And then, and so we'll get to that. And then the Marner negotiation becomes super painful. And I think the Marner negotiation was more painful because we were all experiencing Nylander PTSD from the previous summer. And then Marner gets the deal and he gets his number in the contract, and you're like, blah, blah, blah. So all that said, the overarching problem that we're facing here is that these guys have been very, very good. But the problem was at the time that Kyle Dubas and his administration did not win those negotiations. Not only did they not win them, they got steamrolled on them.
Yeah, right. They got steamrolled. And they're doubling down on the steamroll, Adam.
I don't think that they're
are. Doubling down on a mistake they made years ago.
But I don't feel like that this time. Because when they're an RFA, you have to win that negotiation, and they didn't.
Well, I agree with that.
When you're an UFA, you can't. Your only leverage, the Leafs' only point of leverage is go walk. Go see it. Go see.
And Shanahan's not willing to do that.
No, and
it's got nothing to do with Brad.
It's
got nothing to do with Brad.
Yeah, this has been his plan all along, and he's also a consistent member of that organization. Like, this was his ideas. You're going to lock up these guys, and that's what he's willing to do. And the person who always wins a negotiation is the one who's willing to walk away from it. And at the end of the day, these players are willing to walk away because there's 31 other teams that they can go sign with because they're very good players. And the Leafs Brendan Shanahan wants these guys, and he's not willing to lose them. So he's losing these negotiations.
Here's what I'll listen to. I will listen to anybody that says, well, then the Leafs are committing to a future without Mitch Marner. I think that that's entirely possible.
And it looks likely.
It does look likely, doesn't it? And it's not because the Leafs don't love Mitch Marner. It's not because Mitch Marner doesn't love playing here. I think, with William Nylander, this is the one guy, him and Matthews are like the two best guys for Toronto because they look at people like us, like the media guys, and they just don't give a shit.
Oh, they do not care.
Marner, you can see it on his face, or you have in the past.
Tavares too
doesn't give a shit.
No.
Marner loves this team, loves this city, wants to win so bad. You can see it on his face, and you can see the frustration come out sometimes when things aren't going well, especially in the playoffs. We've seen it before. Some of that's maturity. But that what the Leafs have done here is they've penciled him in between 11 and $13 million. That is what you're not going to make more than Matthews.
What are we doing?
And you're not going to make less than Willie. Yeah. Right? That's where it's going to be. I believe that there's probably a time when Mitch Marner isn't a Toronto Maple Leaf. I think that Matthews, as much as the Leafs can help it, as long as they're winning, he's going to be here. I think William Nylander wanted to stay here. He's here. I think John Tavares is going to come back and sign at $5 or $6 million in a couple of years.
That's realistic because of his age.
Yes.
Marner, not so much.
Marner needs to go out and make $100 million in his next contract. Yeah. He needs to. And I don't fault him.
I don't know if any of these guys need to.
No, then you need to. Yeah. You need to go make your money. You deserve it. You deserve it. Go. You've earned it. Go make your money. I know. I'll never begrudge that.
Wants to hear that shit.
But I think I don't care. I think that in this situation, I think that the Leafs are going to have to do two things. And I'm going to give Acton the Foolman the credit on this because he said it better than I can. He basically says that they can't miss on depth anymore. They cannot miss on depth. And like that means no Klingberg, no Reeves. Can't do that next summer.
Well, good thing Reeves has 2 more years.
Well, I think that's...
And Kampf has 3.
I think that's a buyout, wait and a half. Oh, you can't buy him out, can you?
No, you cannot.
They'll figure Reeves out.
Let me see. No, it was a contract. I forget the stupid rule. It is a contract you can buy out.
So it's not a 37 plus?
Yeah.
35 plus.
Oh, it's 35
So
plus.
it's while this is a 35 plus contract, it is exempt from the 35 plus buyout rules because it is 1 year in length. No, not front loaded and does not have a signing bonus after the first contract year. So there you go. That second clause, it's either one of the two of them. If it's 1 year in length, then it's exempt, and then it's not front loaded and does not have a signing bonus after the first contract year. So yes, you can buy it out.
So people are going to say that's bullshit, but like the whole point of that. Sorry,
It's the rules.
no, I know, no. I'm saying fans from other teams are going to say that's bullshit, that it's exempt. But the whole point of having that rule was not to prevent you from buying out a 35-year-old and up necessarily. It was to prevent the nonsense Ilya Kovalchuk deals.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
The bullshit deals that were never actually intended to go for the length of their contract.
Right.
So the cap hit for Toronto, if they decide to buy out this deal, is $450K against the cap from the 2024 season through the 2028 season. So it becomes a lot more reasonable.
By the way,
Sucks, but it's palatable.
We're seeing some of the details from the contract for Nylander emerge right now. Key details: $69 million in total bonuses. Right, so that way, even if there's a labor shortage, he gets his money, and $27 million of the $88 million, or sorry, not $88 million, $92 million, $27 million will be paid in the first 2 years.
26.
So it's like it's roughly 30% of the deal.
Are they doing any of the LA Dodgers stuff where he's going to get like a quarter of his contract in like 2 decades? Or
Yeah.
How the
They're not.
fuck? What's the incentive there for the player? I don't
There
understand
isn't.
that.
There isn't. It's actually like the money will be worth way less at that point.
Yeah,
but I guess
I
it's so
do
much-
not understand that.
Yeah, Jesse, any thoughts?
So it's a little different than people think because everyone is like, oh, the Dodgers are saving all this money, but the Dodgers only save that money for, I think it's 2 years. And after the 2-year window, so 2 years from this offseason, they have to start paying that money into an escrow account that generates interest.
Oh.
And then at the end of the term, whenever that is supposed to kick in, what is it? When is it supposed to get the money?
2030. Like Teoscar's is 2030. I think Ohtani's is
Yeah.
2030.
2039.
Yeah, he gets it. Ohtani collects that money at that point.
So the interest is not bad.
So yeah, like it's
Hey, Oscar Hernandez is going to get his full dollar amount when Leo is legal drinking age. He is 3.
yeah. But like the Dodgers are still paying this money within this little window, and they don't have to wait a decade to pay this money. They're actually
Okay, so they do still have to pay it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're not saving as much as we think, and they spent $1 billion in total salary
More.
this offseason.
More.
Yeah, $1 billion plus. But,
So
yeah.
I think that the success of these deals hinges on playoff success. Right? If the Leafs go and win a cup this year, who gives a shit? Right?
I don't give a shit about anything, basically.
Don't care.
if they win a cup.
Right. And so what I think has been the key this year, and this is what I keep seeing, and this is where we'll sort of transition into the California road trip, is, so if you take Samsonov out of it, and producer Drew was making fun of us in the group chat yesterday, but it's a
that
true
stat.
You take Samsonov's stats out of it, the Leafs have the best goaltending save percentage in the NHL.
Which, I mean, is fudging it, but I mean,
It just shows you how bad Sammy's been.
he's also
Right.
not on the team anymore.
No, he's not.
Like, it's,
But that's why you had to get
the whole point of the stat was to illustrate, hey, they're actually getting good goaltending outside of this guy.
Yeah, their defense has been the problem.
Eh.
But they also had a ton of injuries. Liljegren's looking, I have to say, since he's come back from injury, really impressed.
Pretty good.
Really impressed.
good.
Benoit's been he knows his role. I like the physicality of this team. And when you go into California, if you're the Toronto Maple Leafs, if you're not a Leafs fan, you don't understand this. The Leafs, even when the California team started to suck, always got messed up on that road trip.
You see the Sean McKenzie stat?
No, what was it?
It's 5 or 6 consecutive years the Leafs have either won every game or lost every game in California.
It's either been a sweep or a sweep either way every single time.
Martin Jones starts 3 games and he allows 2 goals.
Unbelievable.
2 goals.
Unbelievable.
This team physically dominates all 3 California teams. Now, I know 2 of them suck, but for them to do it against the Los Angeles Kings, shut them out. That was the team that didn't score.
I was very surprised.
And play full, complete hockey in a way that we haven't seen. The one thing that you could say about the Toronto Maple Leafs is they played up to their competition and they played down to their competition. What we're seeing this year is them walking into teams that are garbage and treating them like they are garbage.
Unless they are the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Or Senators. Or Chicago Blackhawks.
Or Sabres.
Oh yeah, the Sabres too.
Yeah.
They lost their season series to all of those teams, but everybody else,
not great.
Everybody else is great.
If they literally simply won their games against the Blackhawks,
they'd be in the division lead, I think.
like close to it.
Yeah.
Plus they have games in hand.
It'll cost them the division.
It's so annoying.
But all that said, like, you can't look at this as a Leaf fan and not say that the change in physicality, that ethos has been so much bigger than anyone wants to give credit for.
Oh, yeah.
This team does not give you an inch physically anymore.
The only blips that you've seen, because remember, like heading into Sweden and then after Sweden, they were playing amazing. They were playing really well. And then they had this big dip kind of heading into the holidays. Well, what was that? What was the dip?
Weren't they peeing out of both ends?
Well, they had the flu that everyone, I definitely got.
I got it.
Hear it.
I got it over the holidays.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah,
But-
Steve's still sick, if you can hear it.
But also, they had no goalie.
Yeah.
You could have strapped each of Samsonov's limbs to the goalpost. It might have been better. Like, it was unbelievable.
Millhouse.
Just Millhouse. And dude, it was crazy. But you look at all the Jones and Woll games, and I know you can't simply just look at those games, but
Well, you can, because they're the 2 goalies on the team now, essentially.
yeah, they kicked one of the guys off. He might play games for the team again. I wouldn't bet on it right now, but they played a certain way in front of Woll. Woll was great, but there was rarely a game where they completely left him out to dry. Ironically, the one where he got injured is one where they did. And Martin Jones. How many 10 bell saves has Martin Jones had to make?
Not a lot.
Like one every 2 games?
A couple.
Yeah. But like they had the LA Kings, I think, limited to like 12 shots through 2 periods. I think the Ducks game was like that.
few
Sharks
big
game
block
was
shots.
They were just dominating the Sharks.
Oh my God, they killed him.
Like killed them.
They killed him.
I'm very happy Sheldon Keefe decided to play Martin Jones all 3 games. It was a ballsy decision because it's like it's impossible. Goalies can't play back to back. Like, how dare you? But he just did it and it worked because you can play a goalie back to back. It's not going to end their career.
Keefe has taken a lot of shit this season, a lot of it deserved. But when he makes a bet that works, no one really gives him his due. I didn't like that decision. I wanted to see the Hildebeest.
No.
2 goals in 3 games.
The reason we wanted to see it because it was new shiny young toy.
Yes.
Not
Yes.
because it was the smart decision. And Sheldon Keefe put the blinders on. He said, no, just run Martin Jones. Who cares if he plays a bunch of games in a row? And it worked out. And all credit to him for making that call.
And Martin Jones has only played 11 games this year. It's not like he's been taxed.
No.
You know what it reminds me of a little bit? Remember the Leafs won 3 straight against the Oilers in the Canada bubble season?
Yeah.
Now, here was the difference. 3 different goalies played those games.
Oh, wow.
They were the first team ever to sweep a team with 3 different goalies in a row or something like that.
I think Anderson was the only goalie to allow a goal. And I think, wasn't it Campbell and Hutchinson got the shutouts?
Oh, God.
Hutchinson.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. And Jones to do that all by himself and like completely, like just look totally not fussed the entire time.
He's a vet. Like, you can see he just shows up and he's doing his job.
Just the calm.
Yeah.
Just the calmness of it all. Sammy, so tight.
He didn't know where his net was anymore. You know, he was just all over the ice at all moments.
He looked like a ghost.
Yeah.
He looked like playing hockey caused him a great amount of grief. Like it looked, we talk about joyless hockey. He didn't look like he enjoyed a moment of that.
And you could tell, like, in the post games, like, he was never, like, his comments to the media were just like, it was a lot of Eeyore. You know, it gave me a lot of Jack Campbell vibes. You know, just was so down on himself and just hating life after those games. And at that point, it's like, okay, let's go reset you.
Yeah. So I think this team is consistently playing really well, but they had a blip, and now that they're out of the blip, you can sort of look at it differently. And I think it was the goaltending.
I think, well, clearly, and you could see the way that the Leafs played in front of Sammy versus the other two.
They just played like, what's the point?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, well, especially when there's like a goal in the first minute, and you're like, oh, okay,
and you're cheating for offense the entire time.
That 5 goal comeback against Columbus, like that must have been
and losing.
It must have been the greatest high for having to do it. But when you look back on that game, you're like, fuck, man. Like if we could have got a save, like we did everything on our end, and we couldn't get a single save,
dude. They win that game in overtime, he might still be a Leaf.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, they couldn't get anything.
So, so here's what I think about that, though. The reason I bring up the change in ethos is, you know, you saw Austin Matthews and Pierre-Luc Dubois go down awkwardly. Now, Pierre-Luc Dubois and the Leafs hate each other. And I think that's fun. I love that. And Pierre-Luc Dubois for sure was trying to bring Matthews down.
Always.
As he should.
He's dirty.
But the Leafs jumped in and said, you're not... That's our fucking water bottle. You're not going to touch it.
Yep.
Like David Clarkson, but for an actual player. And I think what that has done from these other guys on the team has allowed guys like Nylander and Matthews to play more to their strengths. Because when the Leafs didn't do that before, those guys would get absolutely hammered. They'd get destroyed by cross checks to the back and broken wrists and bumps and bruises. Nylander never gets injured, but you know the knock on wood.
I was about to say, you shut your dirty mouth.
But you see what I'm saying, right?
Yes.
And I think that the reason I think that these contracts can work if the Leafs continue to play this way, because the role players need to stop thinking that they're those guys, and they did.
Well, these guys are always available, by the way.
Role players?
Like
who
guys,
fight people? Yes.
Yes.
There was a Simon Benoit, several of them every year.
Yes. Guys who are dying, salivating to make the league and stay in the league. Dude, it's a great day. Every day you're in the NHL when all you know is the minors. Dude, like I was looking it up. So Simon Benoit, I think, is a little different. I got to look it up for Hildeby because I know we're all like, oh, I wish he was playing in games. I don't think he has that complaint. I don't think he cares.
The minor salary is $82,000 and the
$82,500,
which is good.
82,000.
That's good. That's good money.
And then the his cap hit right now is $843,000.
It's and his total salary is it's $850,000.
Sorry, yeah, I read the cap hit. The total salary is $850.
Every day in the NHL, he makes more than 10 times what he does in the minors.
It's a big difference.
You can find guys who know the difference every year, and they become the coach's pet. Simon Benoit, is he being asked to do too much? Or is he literally just being told, hey, go out there and smash everything in sight?
It's like what he said after the Anaheim game. It's like, I can't score goals, but I'm going to crush bodies.
When have we ever seen a dude play over 20 games, not score a point, and go, extend him immediately? He might get a contract extension before he gets his first Leaf point.
Well, and I hope it's that one is a negotiation you need to win.
Oh my God.
And this is the thing. It's easier to win it with those guys.
Yeah.
You can't have... Like, no disrespect to Simon Benoit, but you can't have Simon Benoit making $1.50. I think he's got to be.
No,
he's got to be.
He can't even 800 Timmins makes. And he's gone, by the way.
Connor Timmins.
Yeah, you need to. You can't.
Yeah, I think Simon Benoit is a $1 million player at his best, and that's great. Good for him. $1 million a year. Come on.
Can you imagine?
I can imagine it. I hope
perhaps
one day experience
question.
it. But you know, that's the thing. So with the change in how this plays out, I think that it's allowing more room for the best guys to be at their best all the time. We're not expecting Nick Petan to come in and score a bunch of Corsi goals. And that's a really ignorant statement that I've just made, but you know what I'm saying, right? Where the try before was, how do we make even the fourth line super dangerous? So when they're out there, they're scoring goals. And the reality was that they didn't have the money to do that. They never had the money to do that, but they do have money to go bring in guys who can play responsibly, but also throw the body. You look at Noah Gregor, David Komp's getting paid too much. It is what it is. Who else have they? Bobby McMahon.
Oh man,
Can't find a Bobby McMahon every year?
Love him.
Then you're not a good GM.
Yeah, I totally agree. You know who they might sign? I can't believe we're going from William Nylander to talking about this, but Kiefer Bellows.
Man, he's been great.
Dude, like I don't expect Leaf fans to necessarily know every little ongoing with the Toronto Marlies, but he's on a pro tryout, which apparently can last for 25 games. And he's like their top goal and point scorer.
23 points in 24 games in the AHL. Point a game pace in the AHL is very hard. 14 goals in 24 games.
That's extremely good for a big fella too. How big is he?
He is 195 pounds, 6'1".
Sorry, for an average fella.
For a guy who's it looks like we do.
Or for no,
he's much better.
He's taller and skinnier. I think he's doing great.
The other thing that I think the Leafs, if we're talking about being finicky, I think the ideal situation. Anthony Petrelli was talking about this on his column this morning for Maple Leafs Hot Stove, and is maybe the defense, we need to look at it while it's healthy, right? I think we've seen a vastly improved defense. What about the left side of the forward crew? No one's talking about that, but he said ideally Matthew Nyes is not a guy that you have in that spot without earning it. So you want somebody who's going to push that. Do they have the cap room?
I think he's earning it on the fly.
He's earned it.
He's earning it on the fly.
Matthew Nyes, that's his spot.
Yeah, I mean, I love Matthew Nyes.
Yeah,
I'm not taking away from that. But if you had a guy in there pushing Matthew Nyes, because right now Bertuzzi's looking real good with Tavares, right? And then you've got Pontus Holmberg and Bobby McMahon.
I know.
And Nick Robertson, who's had some defensive gaffes, so he scratched the last couple of games.
I loved the conversation they had mid-play on the broadcast the other day, where Nyes pulled off that preposterous move where he almost lost the puck 90 times. And then he passed it to Mitch. And I loved Mitch going, you should have shot that.
Yeah.
Like, very obviously, like, that's what a leader does, goes, you should have shot that. And I think it was Craig Simpson went, when you play with Marner and Matthews, it's probably hard not to pass. Shoot that.
It was a great conversation.
Every goalie is expecting you to pass that. Shoot it.
Agreed.
And Matthew Nyes is perfect for that role because he's already shown an ability to learn and grow within it and play with Matthews and Marner, because they play a particularly specific style because of how it's more Marner, the way he pushes and the way he passes, and he's all over the ice, and then Matthews is just able to get to the open areas and you just feed him in the slot there. And Matthew Nyes has shown an ability to play with those guys, and I don't know why you would take that away from him. I
think the point wasn't to take it away, I guess, more just to be, hey, if you do fuck this up, we do have somebody who would willingly take that. Because you look at like Nylander, Marner, I mean, this is sort of unfair, but you look at Calle Yarncroke's here. If you had a Calle Yarncroke of the left side who has 10 goals, and who's been really good.
He's so good.
That would, I'm not saying Matthew Nyes would get pushed off that line forever, but it would push the play.
Well, remember, this is not how it started. It started with Bertuzzi on the top line.
Yep.
Then was it Nyes? Domi was on the wing.
Yeah.
And Robertson was in the minors. Trying to think of who the fourth line left wing was. It was Gregor because they had Reeves on the right. This is not how it was supposed to look at all. So they have come up with this left side very much on the fly.
I feel like that could be the thing that, I mean, obviously you don't want Simon Benoit playing your left side on defense as well. It's kind of weird to have a team that's so strong on the right, but they are. Simon Benoit right now is penciled in beside Jake McCabe, and I guess that's the second or the third pairing, depending upon how you look at it. Giordano's played a lot less this year.
There have been moments where the puck has come to the right side of the blue line, and I'm like, it'd be nice to have someone on their forehand there.
Yeah.
Agreed.
But like the idea that you have guys in your lineup always pushing other guys is the smart thing to do.
Yes, Justin? Are you looking for
I asked
coffee
for
for
coffee.
Steve? Oh, that's nice. Thank you, Justin.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah, and so like if you're going in, because they got to be looking at trade deadline. I mean, Martin Jones is playing great. They're goaltenders. He might not play great next year, but he's playing great now. And Joseph Woll comes back. He plays well. Do you need to make a goalie move? Probably not. You just got kind of ride what you got.
Martin Jones will probably want a pay raise from somebody, right?
I think so, but let him have it.
I saw someone
for this year.
Oh, yeah.
I saw
this
someone
year.
do a mock roster where he's making 2, and I'm like, not again.
No,
But like, yeah.
no, I don't think that's a guy you commit to long term. I think he's got enough of a resume where you go, there might be a regression here.
Well, that's part of the reason why I wanted Hildeby to work, because then you have 2 amazing goalies making less than $1 million, which is just not reasonable to expect.
Be lovely though.
It would be great.
I'm looking at the left side thinking it might be good to have just one more body in there unless Holmberg comes in and steals the show.
Well, that's what they're trying to figure out, right? It's not like Holmberg's not in an age where he has to be playing AHL games. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. It's not going to affect his development curve.
No. And like Steve's is scoring a ton of goals in the minors. I don't know. Is that really what they need? Aberzizi, I don't know. Is that really?
Kiefer Bellows is a left wing.
Dude, I think there is a greater than 0 chance they sign him to an NHL deal.
How many contracts have they got out of the 50?
3 left.
Oh, they can do that.
They can, but
The Leafs were always at 49.
if Jones gets hurt, now Hildeby's forget. Oh yeah, we can ease him into. No, now he's your starting goaltender. Well, no, it's him or Samsonov.
And then probably well, you leave Samsonov. You can't put him in.
Then it's Hildeby.
And then Petruzzelli.
There you go. This is why you leave at least 1 slot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, that is an emergency. Bellows is a luxury. Do you see the difference?
I do.
Right?
Do they even have the cap space to fit Kiefer Bellows?
I have.
On an AHL deal, they could, right?
No, but like you're signing him to bring him up at some point, right?
I believe so. I'm not 100% sure how it works, but if he signs an NHL deal and they want him to continue playing in the minors, he would have to clear waivers. If he signs the NHL deal and goes straight to the NHL, does not have to clear waivers. I might be wrong.
No way he's clearing waivers. No way.
Right.
You don't think so?
No.
It's
the
such a
Leafs.
weird situation.
Harry Sateri didn't clear
Oh my
waivers.
God, I know. I can't believe that.
I don't know if they have the cap space to sign a body. You know, the current cap space on Cap Friendly is 300.
You could demote Robertson.
Grand.
You can demote Robertson.
You could send him down.
Yeah.
You don't have to keep him.
That frees it up. Because, they're at 23 of 23 for the NHL roster.
Nope,
anyway,
problem solved right there.
If
somebody
Robertson,
has to go.
I've been saying for weeks that I think he's played really well in the offensive zone. If Robertson wants to play, though, he can't do the rinky-dink shit at his own blue line.
And
you got to be smarter than that.
So
Simple.
remember I said Holmberg, he doesn't need to be playing games in the minors? Robertson needs to be playing games.
Yeah.
He's got to be playing games. Like this whole extras gray shit does not help anybody. What I am fascinated by is how many guys need maintenance mid-season. It feels like this is much more of a NBA way of thinking, where they'll play you for a few games and then they're like, okay, we need you to hit the weights for like 2 weeks. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm surprised there isn't more of that in hockey.
Yeah, there should be. I mean, it's difficult to convince players that taking them out of the lineup is good for them.
No, I know. But like, you're playing 7, 8, 9 minutes a night. And okay, we need you to ride like the Tour de France on the bike over the next few weeks to get your lungs up, and then we'll promote you.
And I feel like Nick Robertson's one of those guys.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't
can do that with?
Like I feel like he needs an improve. Like he needs to take another step in his game to be an everyday NHLer. He hasn't earned that spot yet, based on what we've seen. Like
Is that
I don't.
the line to do it with? I don't know.
It's the line you're given.
Domian.
Like, I'm sorry. I hate. I
No, you're totally right, Alan.
I
Totally right.
hate that argument. Oh, well, he hasn't been. I'm sorry. Nick Robertson has as good a chance as anyone to make the NHL. You never step into a perfect situation. Make the best of it.
You're totally
William Nylander, William Nylander played with the number 39 in the old Leafs jersey before the brand redo on a team that featured P.A. Parento as the top line scorer.
There's a photo of Nylander and Kessel on the ice together. I do not remember that.
I don't either.
I do not remember that happening.
Like when we thought Brandon Cousins was going to be a big part of the future here.
I really did.
And that is like, so was it perfect for Nylander? No. Matthews and Marner stepped in and they were great right away, but it wasn't perfect for them either. Remember, that team was garbage. Mm-hmm. They couldn't defend for shit. They got it. And and that first month with Freddie Anderson, he was terrible. They did not play well in that first October. They were lucky to make the playoffs.
There was a time where Nikita Soshnikov had more hype than Zach Hyman.
Oh yeah. And this is where it's like, yo, Nick, you got to just make the best of it. And if that means going down to the AHL and lighting it up with Kiefer Bellows for a few games, great. Mm-hmm. Do it.
And we've seen him do that. Like Nick Robertson, there was a reason he didn't start with the team, is they felt he needed a little more seasoning, and then he got it and he lit it up, and there was no choice. They had to call him up, and then now that he's been called up, it seems like he's this 4A player where he's just kind of in between. He's too good for the AHL, but he can't quite crack the lineup consistently. And a lot of it's because he's 22 and his development's been shot, and we just need to give him some more time. So I don't mind that Nick Robertson is in and out of the lineup right now, because he needs to work on his game a lot more. And I think he'll get there eventually if we give him that time.
And make it easy. Make it easy for these guys. Nick, simple in your defensive zone.
Don't let me
make it easy.
I'm not gonna scream this into the universe, and I'm gonna lower my voice. I'll whisper it into the universe. Mm-hmm. Gosh, I still wish they had Sam Lafferty.
Well,
yeah,
it'd be really nice to still have Sam Lafferty.
That was not a great.
He's doing fantastic.
He really is.
Yeah. Great season.
Gosh darn it.
Yeah.
Imagine Yarncroke on the left, Domi in the middle, Lafferty on the right, or Domi on the right, Lafferty in the middle.
And Lafferty was tough, threw a good hit.
That's such a fun third line.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Oh well. I mean, heading into the season, you wouldn't have been like, yeah, no, Sam Lafferty needs to be on the third line.
No.
Because he didn't look good enough.
Well, I think that's
now he looks sick.
probably a lesson for management. I think that the Klingberg deal was a lesson for management because you should have signed Dumba. I think the Reeves was you didn't need to sign Reeves to get physicality out of this team, although it seems to have ignited it anyway.
It's hard to call that an abject failure because it's worked.
It has worked. For whatever reason, whether it's Reeves or not, they are more physical.
Well, and this is the thing, like, we'll never know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like, we'll never know what impact that. By the way, did you see the injury?
For who?
Reeves?
No.
Apparently this has happened several times where he's got to like whack his kneecap back into place.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Pro athletes deserve the money.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
The Lafferty deal, if we want to revisit that, I don't understand it. Like, to me, there's a lot. It's pretty inexcusable.
They literally just needed the money, and they got a 5th round pick where they otherwise would have just lost him on waivers.
Maybe you shouldn't have sent him down.
Well, we know that now.
Maybe Sam Lafferty was the guy
they couldn't
keep
afford
on the roster.
They couldn't afford it.
In exchange for who?
What do you mean?
Like, who's the guy they had to keep up?
Oh boy, we'd have to
relitigate this, but like in early October, you're moving on from Sam Lafferty, who makes $1.1 million for a 5th round pick to Vancouver, when you could have really used that guy.
Trying to remember.
I don't know.
Trying to remember what the lines were. Yeah,
it's very annoying.
Domi, Kampf, Nyes. God, I just never want to see that line ever again.
Like, if you wanna say it's Reeves, like I'll accept that argument, because
I mean that's it.
Brad Treliving's short tenure as general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs has not been a hit factory. There's been a lot of misses with this guy.
He's a volume puncher.
It's been quite disappointing, if I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, volume puncher, Brad Treliving.
It's funny. The lower the deal, the better he seems to do.
Yeah,
right.
Like, he's not good in the $5 to $7 million range, or $3 to $7 million range. But man, $900,000, he's hitting 100. He's 1,000. He's killing it. Like, all the depth guys have been fine, great. Love Noah Gregor, love Simo Benoit, love Legacy, like, fine. By the way, I always looking at Jones.
Yeah, that signing has saved the season.
Yes,
like zero hyperbole.
But like Klingberg and Reeves and
listen,
Bertuzzi early. Bertuzzi's coming around, and it's only for 1 year, which Bertuzzi's been reasonable.
Domi's been nice at 3.
Domi's been good. Yeah. Domi's been a very nice surprise as well. So I guess there's a little more hits than I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jerk.
So give Sam Lafferty should be a Leaf. That's ridiculous.
Yep.
100%.
I want to. If you were to look at the NHL standings right now, you would see that the Winnipeg Jets are the number 1 team in the league. Absolute wagon.
I wouldn't have called that. What did they do?
They traded a player that didn't want to be there.
That didn't want to be there, who was going to make a lot of money for 4 good players.
Right.
Well, how dare you? It's what did they do? They re-signed their guy for 8 years, $8 million.
Two of their
Yeah, but that
guys.
doesn't fit
Two of
my
their guys.
narrative.
They signed $8 million, 8 years. Sorry, 2 of their guys who we thought, you can't lock up these guys.
Does not count. And I'll tell you why. Neither of them make as much as the 4th highest paid Leaf.
It doesn't matter.
One of the best goalies in the league, and Mark Scheifele. Neither of them makes within $1.5 million within $2 million of what Marner, who is now the 4th highest paid Leaf, makes.
8.5 for each of them. I was just trying to confirm that.
Yes.
Boo and fart.
Over the course of 8 years, they're both 30.
Yeah, so that's the tough part.
We thought like, oh man, like how are they doing this? And
Ooh.
you do that, and then you come out and you're the best team in the league.
But
I think you bet on your guys.
You bet on your guys. Well, then keep Dubois. But he didn't want to be
He
there.
didn't want to be there. Yeah.
Well, I'm choosing to look at it as well. We can't afford him. So they go out and they deal him for Velarde, who's been disgusting. Iafallo. Who else was involved in that deal? Trying to remember. There was a prospect. Jesse's going to bring it up.
Oh, I can tell you the trade. Yeah,
It's a good deal.
Yeah, the
Very,
trade
very
was
good
Dubois for Kupari is probably what you're thinking about.
Yeah.
Iafallo, Velarde, and a 2nd round pick, which was Montreal's
I thought it
coming
was
up
4 players.
in this draft. It's 4 assets.
4 assets, 3 players, and a 2nd from Montreal, which is
That's a valuable second.
That pick's going to be around like
30
between 32 and 40th overall. Something like that? Yeah. No, that's a really, really, really good deal.
That's a
and what did he
1+.
sign for? Scheifele and Hellebuck money. And he hasn't done so well.
Velarde's been amazing.
Oh, you mean Dubois?
Yes.
Yeah, Velarde's been amazing. Amazing.
Velarde's been disgusting.
And I think that it's no surprise that him coming back from injury and playing as well as he has coincided with, like, the Jets were doing well, but like that added speed and everything else that he brings has been such a huge
Jeff
part
Merrick's Super Bowl. Like
What?
that
All
guy,
that?
I love listening to the players who he loves. Like, just because, like, Jeff loves being like, you know how I talk about names on the back of a jersey and, hey, you're being difficult.
Yeah.
Merrick loves to be difficult.
Does he?
Loves it.
Like, what would be, give us an example.
I'm trying to think of all the names he would say over and over again on ice surfing. Jake Neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
He's, just wait for this Jake Neighbors kid. Marty Natchez, who
He was right.
Natchez has come into it. Who were we just talking about? Oh, Gabe Velarde. I'll think of them. I'll say them as they come.
Value players.
Yeah, but he loves it. Oh, just you wait. Just you wait. And you remember your old pal Jeff told you. He loves those. He loves those guys. Loves. Wait till you get a load of this shit. That's what they should call 32 thoughts.
I also want
Wait
to
till you
say.
get a load of this.
I also want to say this: the Canucks have not stopped. They are now. There are 2 Canadian teams at the tops of their divisions, and they're both in the West. And that Canucks team looks pretty much unstoppable at this point.
Shout out to everyone who was able to pick up Philip Hronek on waivers in fantasy.
Why would he be on waivers? He was amazing in Detroit too. Did no one watch the Red Wings?
Yeah, well, you got to have a big pool, man. You got to, because like, there's a lot of really good defensemen out there.
I'm looking at, by the way, at Vancouver. Everybody's talking about the Pettersson contract. What are you going to do about Hronek? Like, that deal is not
I thought that
signed
deal
yet.
would be done by now.
And it's not.
Me too.
And he has played so well next to Quinn Hughes. Like, they finally found their pairing, right? You can't let him go.
You should ask his agent.
We should talk to the agent about that.
We should
Who is
have
this agent, by the way?
Have him on the show. Wait, I got a better idea. Just give him one.
Give him a show?
Give him a show.
Give him a platform, see what he says.
Yeah. drink every time he says kangaroo court.
The only thing with the Feronic contract is that he is an RFA. And
okay.
The one thing you said earlier in this episode, Adam, is you can win those contract negotiations with RFA. So he is under control in Vancouver.
Is Pettersson? Or is he
RFA? Yeah. Pettersson's also an RFA. That's why it hasn't been like an everyday conversation about Pettersson, who's like in Hart Trophy conversations, but he's still under control in Vancouver.
What blows me away is the Canucks. Remember he was like, well, I'm not sure if I'll sign in Vancouver. Mm-hmm. And then the Canucks were like, yeah, we're not sure we'll sign you either.
Oh, I know.
Now, first off, of course he wants to stay on a great team. And of course they want to keep him. So what's that number look like? And does he go the Austin Matthews route of 3 to 5 years?
Mm-hmm. Staying in that division, you know what made me irrationally angry on Saturday? When Friedge, during the 32 Thoughts segment, goes, oh yeah, the Flames are thinking about keeping Hanifin.
Fuck off. No,
I was like, that does it.
No, they're not.
I am not listening to anything that has anything to do with the Flames anymore.
Yeah.
That's enough. Other than the Zadorov deal, we're going to trade Tanev. No, we're going to keep him. And, we're going to trade Hanifin. And, no, we're going to keep him. And, Lindholm's on his way out the door. Guess what? He's tiptoeing back in the door. Shut up. Pick a thing. Choose what you are. Which is a team that lost to the worst roster I've ever seen.
What was it?
They
had $13 million dressed. The Chicago Blackhawks and Huberdeau scores a great goal.
Patrick, I think, had 2. And dude, that is. I'm not convinced the Chicago Blackhawks win a 7-game series with the Hershey Bears right now.
Wow.
And
I think
you're sure?
Hyperbole, everybody.
Anthony Beauvillier is going to look really good at the Toronto All-Star game.
Dude, he's not even playing right now.
He's on IR.
For God's sakes.
Yeah.
Dude, it's going to be like.
That's not a guy who can go.
Honestly, I'm not kidding. A top 3 candidate for Blackhawks All-Star game pick, Peter Mrazek.
They don't have to send anybody now that Bedard's not going to be gone. The replacement can be from anybody. So
I don't think they should.
Yeah, so
I don't think
that's like the Willie spot. That's where Willie will be the fill-in or one of the other guys who didn't get named to the initial roster.
I think it is going to cause the NHL great pain to not send a Blackhawks representative to the All-Star game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to say a few years ago, someone on the Coyotes got hurt, and they were like, "Nah, that's fine." Blackhawks
is a little different.
Very difficult.
Yeah. One thing I read is that they might be looking at Phil Kessel, who's still out there, just to get warm bodies in there, and somebody who can score goals.
They should.
Yeah, I think it makes sense to bring in Phil Kessel, who's still trying to play in the NHL. That should be a good landing spot.
I mean, they should be looking at anybody.
Hey, how about living, breathing human beings?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, you've played in the NHL before? You're good enough to be on the Blackhawks.
All right.
Dude,
it's rough.
It's like, remember Montreal was calling guys up from the ECHL?
Yeah.
Just because.
Last year. Wasn't it last year?
I can't remember if it was last year.
Or the year before.
Remember, it was the Canada bubble, and I think everyone got COVID or something like that. They were already going to be no, it couldn't have been the Canada bubble team. That freaking team beat the Leafs. It was the year after.
When that team was destroyed.
They were already rebuilding. And then they were also the most injured team in the world. I think that team on paper probably looks better than the current Blackhawks.
Oh yeah, no question. I gotta say
they won, by the way.
Really impressed really impressed by the Blackhawks for that.
Colin Blackwell.
I know, 2 goals.
Still doing his thing.
Yeah, good for him.
Unreal.
That's an opportunity, right? Bedard's out, Hall's out, Perry's gone, Seth Jones is out, Beauvillier is out. I missed that one.
Dude, their replacements are hurt.
So go and seize it.
I know.
For anybody that's
hurt.
if anybody's looking for an opportunity, now is the time. Go get it.
Hey, how about this? If any team is like the Canucks and has cap issues, offer to take their guy.
Yeah.
For a nominal fee.
They're going to be a facilitator at the deadline.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta be.
There's going to be several Pittsburgh Penguins that end up in Chicago. Jeff Carter's a Blackhawk.
Oh,
congratulations, Jeff Carter, you're a Blackhawk.
Dubas, I didn't tweet this, but that Rem Pitlick trade is such a Dubas-ass trade. A conditional 7th.
That is a Dubas trade, and he's good at it. Yeah, Dubas does good trades, man.
He
He does.
So now that I'm on the outside of all that, remember how often we were like, that's brilliant. He traded a guy's rights for a 7th round pick. That's so good. And you know what? It is good, but it's a 7th round pick.
Yeah.
Your odds of hitting on that pick are so
Still-
shit.
I mean,
Yeah,
listen,
something's better than nothing. Though.
And also, I would throw this at you. What we had before certainly made him look a lot better.
Yes.
Like the Nonis Poulin era was brutal in Toronto. Brutal. Claude Lozelle, all those guys.
Shout out Dave Poulin.
Terrible. Absolutely terrible. And then you have Lou come in and do pretty good, but then sign some shitty deals. And I think
Trade Carter Verhaeghe.
trade Carter Verhaeghe. Nah, I don't care about that. That was 5 years before Carter Verhaeghe played in the NHL.
I'm choosing to be toxic about it.
Dubas does he does those things, and him and John Davidson have a good relationship. And so, is it John Davidson? Kyle Davidson. Kyle and Kyle have a good relationship. Dubas and Davidson have a great relationship in terms
They have a relationship.
and they've been working things. And so I bet when the Penguins inevitably want to buy at the deadline because they have to make the playoffs, the Chicago Blackhawks will be involved.
We'll see. One thing Kyle Davidson has been really good at is tearing it down. Like, to his credit, tearing it down and getting Bedard.
Is he responsible for all the injuries?
He was fantastic at. No, I'm talking about last season. Tearing down and getting
oh.
Bedard last season he did a great job at that. And if he can tank, he's good at that. But before we get too far away from the Jets and Canucks,
Oh yeah, sorry.
one thing that is really fun about those two teams is how opposite they're doing this right now. The Winnipeg Jets lead the league in goals against per game, so giving up the least amount of goals against per game.
Great defense,
The Vancouver Canucks lead the league in goals for per game. So the Vancouver Canucks they're playing this great hockey where they're able to clog up neutral zone, create these turnovers, and score a whole bunch of goals. And the Winnipeg Jets are playing the shutdown hockey where you have the best goaltender in the world and you get enough goals to withstand everything. And it's cool to see these two teams go at it. And if they meet in the playoffs, like what a fantastic series that'll be.
And dude, the coaching. Rick Bowness, I was shocked he was brought back. Might win the Jack Adams. And Rick Tocchet, who, like, even a lot of Canucks fans were kind of frosty on that decision. Because who got fired? Bruce Boudreau.
You didn't want to listen to me when I said earlier this season that their record under Rick Tocchet last season was one of the best in the entire National Hockey League.
Yeah, but why? What was the reason?
They were a good team because he made them play different.
No, the reason that I poo-pooed on it is because their end of the season with Boudreau was unreal too.
Yeah, but like it's different. It's a different. It's a different.
One guy's named Bruce. And
It's
the
a
other's named
different
Rick.
brand of hockey that they were playing, and they've continued that into this year. And now look at them go. And we didn't give enough credit to Kevin Cheveldayoff. Like, for this man to double down on this roster and this team, make some tweaks, getting out Dubois and all that stuff and bringing in some guys. Like, that guy knew what he had with this roster, and all credit to him for coming up with the best team in National Hockey.
And he has one of the goalies that you can count on game in and game out.
Which is so underrated. Connor
I'm so glad those episodes are up. Now I can finally joke about that.
It's also the resurgence of the two guys who are, we thought, just write off defense entirely. JT Miller and Mark Scheifele.
Yeah.
Where did we expect these two bounce back seasons from those two guys? Wow.
Isn't it funny once you, and sometimes people, when they get together, they're not necessarily bad people on their own, but they might bring out the worst in each other. Once you split up Blake Wheeler and Mark Scheifele, how things change.
And Wheeler's been fine.
Yeah.
On the
well, because he's not the guy anymore.
Yeah.
He's
a league man.
He's the 11th guy.
He's several rungs down.
Yeah. So, you got something to say? Don't care. And I think that whatever that room was in Winnipeg got stale. They got stale, and they were stale for a while. And Mark Scheifele's not resurgence, because he had a good year last year, but the way his 200-foot game has improved this year, it's something to be applauded.
We don't come on this podcast after every weekend and we're like, look what Scheifele did.
Which we objectively were.
We did that a lot last season.
There was a phase where every week, him and Miller were just a hit factor.
I'm sorry, but so was Blake Wheeler. Blake Wheeler was he was garbage.
Yeah, but remember all those clips of JT Miller quitting on plays at the blue line when it's entering the defensive zone?
Funny.
He would just give up. We would just rag on him for like 20 minutes.
Like, remember the clip that got Dubois traded out of Columbus?
Yeah.
He did that on a nightly basis.
As the captain.
Fighting with his teammates on the ice during games. And look at him.
Yeah. Now look at him go.
Look at him go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
but this was always there.
Right. That's why you're frustrated with these players, because you know the ability's there. And it's been fun to watch these two teams put it all together. And like Miller's now a part of probably the best PK unit in the National Hockey League.
That's bonkers.
Like, it's fun.
Yeah.
You get to ice him and Pettersson. That's so stupid.
It's stupid.
It is stupid.
Dumb.
Yeah. Man, imagine that Pittsburgh trade with Ron Hextall had gone through where JT Miller was a Penguin. He was going to be.
They might be good.
They could not find. Yeah, they might have been good.
No, I'm
this year.
kidding. The Penguins have actually been hot. They're just not in a playoff spot.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, by the way, the Edmonton Oilers are in a playoff spot.
And they are in a playoff spot.
And we're happy for them. They, I was watching the game against, I think it was Ottawa Saturday night, and I was texting the group. And I got to say, I know it's supposed to be complimenting the Oilers, and they deserve all the compliments. They've come back. They've made something of the season. Boy, do the Ottawa Senators play joyless, formless, lazy hockey. I feel for Senators fans. I understand why Senators fans are so pissed. And you hear about, I think there was a Tim Stützle quote floating around about how, how warm and fuzzy they were about DJ Smith. It's because DJ Smith lets you get away with the bullshit that you can't get away with now. Jacques Martin is not a nice guy. He's not easy.
Glenn Ross. Jacques Martin is there on a mission of mercy. He is there to
Tortsify.
Well, and also pack your shitify this team.
Yep.
By the end of the season,
Pack your shitify.
by the end of the season, he's going to Gilbert Arenas literally bring out a garbage bag and put it in front of some lockers. Say, get out.
Jason York, who played for the Senators and who you worked with on ice surfing.
I texted him today.
He said, "Don't forget about." We was talking. He retweeted a Graham Nichols tweet, and Graham in the tweet said, "Frustrating part of the last offseason." He said, "I wrote about this, how the Senators could have reallocated some of their money towards better two-way guys. Instead, Dorian chased names like DeBrincat and poor defensive metrics." And what York added to that was, when Dorian went big name hunting when the blue line needed to be addressed. Smart teams like the Devils were signing guys like Marino, while Ottawa added undersized scoring winger with no plan of what they do with him long term. And the result of that is you have Dominik Kubalik. And you have Vlad Tarasenko. And it's not because DeBrincat wasn't a good cent. He actually was, still at 29 goals. But the ramifications of some of these guys signing Tarasenko without a plan for Shane Pinto, gambling thing aside, this organization's a lot messier, and it's going to take a lot longer to unpack this.
Shane Pinto is a very good player. That's not what makes or breaks your team. That's not the difference between a playoff team and this. I'm sorry.
Okay, but the defense is. And Chychrun was a good get, by the way.
Yeah, but you need more than one good get. Like, you can't have one good move a year and be like, wow, all right, here we come. And again, they have no identity. Like, to go with what you were saying, you can't just be like, hey, here's a name. I was saying, make your team the Ottawa Brady Kachucks. And they're the Ottawa... this guy is Brady Tkachuk. Drew has some snarl, but he's old. Stützle is a skill guy. That's cool.
Killer player, but like what
are you? What are you doing?
Well, and you look at Brady Tkachuk leading the league in penalty minutes right now, which he objectively can't do. He's the best player on the team overall. Because him and Stützle and Norris, but
he's wearing out the knees in his socks to get his team to play like they give a vague shit. So he's taken like 15 minutes at the end of every game.
And to go off of what we learned as Leaf fans, you can't have one guy doing it, or the refs will just call the one guy. Michael Bunting.
Yeah, he was doing a lot of just running around and hitting on Saturday in that Oilers game, and it was a desperation attempt out of him just to try and get anything going. But when he's doing it, the optics looked bad because it's just him alone on the ice, just trying to make big hits, and he's not actually playing a cohesive game of hockey with the rest of his team. I didn't think he had a good game.
This is not the first time we have seen a Tkachuk on a Canadian team looking like the only player who gives a shit. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying.
Their inability to generate any kind of offense from their forward group is kind of shocking. Whenever they'd get offense, it seemed like it came from the back end. Like
they have horses. I don't get it.
It was Sanderson jumping up in the play or making something from the blue line or like making some passes to Chychrun, and just their forward group just can't generate offense, and it was really bad versus the Oilers.
No, Jacques Martin and Co. are going to pack your shitify this team.
Tarasenko seems like he's just been. It's like when you run out of one color of Play-Doh, so you have to use another color of Play-Doh. Like he doesn't fit at all. And I say Play-Doh because that's what I did during the Christmas break. 4.5-year-old. It's like they just seem to graft these guys on. We're gonna put you on for a year. Okay, we'll see if that doesn't work. Or at least that was the Dorian thing.
Right.
And I know, Dave Poulin was hired and people were giving the Senators shit because it was a terrible regime that he was a part of in Toronto. People can change in, 11 years? Like, come on.
I mean, well,
I'm open to him changing.
What decisions is he going to be making?
I don't know.
Like, he's several rungs away from being the guy. I think his input will be there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they've also made some analytics hires and sports science hires. And I don't know. As a Leaf fan, I understood why Leaf fans were like, but come on now.
Yeah.
Come on now.
And by all accounts, a really good person. So I'm not, I hated that regime. I hated those guys for their decisions, but I didn't hate them personally.
And Shanahan did him pretty dirty on the way out.
I don't believe that at all.
You don't believe that?
No.
Because Poulin said Shanahan basically didn't speak to him.
Why did he need to?
What? Yeah.
He's an employee of his.
What is the story here, guys?
So they got fired. Shanny didn't speak to him, and then they got Lozelle and Poulin got canned in August when it was too late to find a job in the NHL because all the management positions would have been gone. I would believe that if he jumped right back into management a year and a half later. And I just don't. And so I listen. We all have unfair shit happen to us. I'm sorry that Shanny didn't talk to you. Shanny didn't see you as a part of the future.
Well, then Shanahan could have told him.
Yeah, but did he? So the question is, did he do him dirty by firing him in August and not just doing it in June like a normal?
I think you gotta have somebody take it over.
No one said he needed to. It's just what a nice person would have done.
Also,
or like a reason.
How would? By the way, based on the results, I would ask, how would you think that you would be continuing?
Yeah, but to delay it seems like he delayed the firing till August to screw some
so
guy.
if he did that, that's bullshit.
yeah,
I'm with you on that.
That's just how I heard the story. I don't know. I'm hearing it right now.
I'm certainly not sitting here going, he did a great job.
No,
absolutely not.
I also don't believe that Shanny was like, you know what we should do?
Right.
The team is terrible. The fans are more apathetic than they've ever been, and we're actually not selling it out. And by the way, that's what Shanny stepped into, right? Mm-hmm. But let's screw Dave Poulin and Claude Lozelle. I'm sorry, I have a hard time believing that.
Those are the rumors.
Yeah, let's go screw them.
I don't know if it was
you know what?
a conscious
We'll take it out on them.
I don't know if it was a conscious decision. I'm just saying. All I'm saying is Dave was sore about it.
Okay, fair. That's fair. Mm-hmm. I also don't think that. I just don't think he factored. I think that was that's the hard. And I've been in those.
If I don't factor, fire me in June so I can get another job.
Well, you got to have somebody to replace him, though.
I don't know if you do. I don't know. I'm just.
That was the dude.
I'm just feeling put some flames on these rumors.
Yeah. Something that just to back up the Brady Tkachuk thing, because it's got to be more than Brady that steps up here. Michael Bunting in Carolina is on pace for 57 points, and according to the Athletic, has been a penalty drawing machine.
Oh wow,
this league really does hate the Leafs. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can see it with all due respect to Tim Peel, you can see that the refs hate the Leafs.
Well, also
he's our petri dish,
and also really like Rod Brindamore. When Rod Brindamore speaks, people listen,
and they should.
He's, I would argue, a top 3 coach in this league, year in, year out. There are guys who
they're last in save percentage and still in a playoff spot.
That's nuts. That's not. I didn't know this until I was listening to a clip from the CJ show today. Antti Raanta had a worse save percentage than Samsonov. I did not know that. And the Leafs went into full-blown crisis mode. And Carolina's like,
Well, I
don't know. I guess we'll use another guy.
I think the Leafs handled it better.
Yeah?
You have to pull
by
it out.
having Martin Jones?
Yeah.
No, they did that to Raanta too.
Yeah, no.
You said the Leafs went into full-blown crisis mode. The Hurricanes should have.
They did before the Leafs.
They sent Raanta down, and I think the only reason he came back up is because of injury.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Sorry, I misunderstood.
Oh, okay.
The Carolina Hurricanes are consistently impressive. I wonder what they'll do, because I do think as soon as you figure out goaltending there, you should have an Eastern Conference final team.
Easily. But are you going to figure out goaltending there? Like,
who's available?
Freddie Anderson is a mystery with his health. Rant is not great.
Mystery with his health, too.
And Kochetkov is
not great.
A mystery of goaltending. Like, he's great. He's unplayable. He's everything in between. He lays hits, I learned.
Yes, he
recently. Like, he's like, it really, I'm not totally convinced they're going to get another guy. Can you win a cup with one of those?
I want to roll it back to the Sens because I didn't finish the point. I brought bunting up because of Tkachuk, but then I took it down the Carolina thing. Apparently right now they're working the phones looking for guys that are good 200-foot players, like two-way guys, and guys that physically take care of themselves. That was what was said.
This is the Sens.
The Senators are looking for guys that physically take care of themselves. What does that tell you?
They're going to pack your shitify this team and find guys who play tough hockey.
Isn't that wording important though? Because
pack
I don't
shitify?
No, not pack your shitify. The other one about take care of themselves. That is a team source for sure. Team source who's like, we're sick of these guys doing, not treating this seriously.
Abandoning Brady Tkachuk. They're abandoning their cap.
When's Brady get sick of it? Because
that's what I was alluding to. That's what I was alluding to earlier. When does he be Matthew about this and go, I'm fucking done here?
And Matthew was right, by the way.
Matthew was 100%.
Look at the Flames since Matthew.
And look at the Panthers since Matthew.
Look at Gaudreau since Matthew. Matthew Tkachuk was the most right.
Bang. I can't, knowing the story behind it, knowing it sort of starting from the Muzzin puck flip.
Well, and the story is what?
The end of a Leafs-Flames game during the Canada bubble, Muzzin flipped a puck at Tkachuk's chest.
After the play.
After the final horn. And Tkachuk lost his mind. The Flames wanted nothing to do with it, and reports started coming out that they were sick of his antics. And he said, okay. All right. That's enough. I mean, it didn't end right there. I believe they won their division, and then they had the Battle of Alberta, and oof, did that go poorly. And then he left, and they have not been even sort of close to the same. Haven't been close to the same. You don't want Brady Tkachuk going down that path. But here's the difference. The Flames were like, yeah, you're right. And they made the move. The Sens have Brady Tkachuk locked up, and I think they will move heaven and earth to keep him happy. The Flames weren't willing to do that.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
I think with the Ottawa Senators now, it's all in the players, right? Because you've changed out everybody in management. You've changed literally the owner of the team. Now it's about, okay, the players don't show up, then we move the players.
You got Alfredson yelling at players on the bench to play hockey.
I love that, by the way.
Oh, me too. But that's sad.
Oh yeah.
That Claude Giroux contract, the 6.5, I don't think that's looking too good. Is that a deadline move next season?
He's been pretty good.
He's been okay. It's been 6.5. I don't know. The Tarasenko contract, it's only this year. It's $5 million. It's not great.
When does Giroux expire?
Next year. So he's still signed through one more season.
31 points in 35 games. Do you hate it?
Oh, I think he's one of the few skill guys who does play the way the Sens want the Sens to play.
So do you move them and you get assets?
You could. I just don't. I don't think there's a rush to do that because they're in the establishing a culture and an identity part of their rebuild. They have pieces. He's down the list of guys I would get rid of.
And Tarasenko, is it a deadline move you could make?
Do the Blackhawks need no?
No, it would be to a contender, right? That thinks that they can use that player.
I was about to say, maybe you put him on the Blackhawks so you can go, hey, you're going to be on our first line, and hopefully you play well, and then we'll trade you at the deadline.
They flip him again?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm just spitballing, man.
I don't know. They're at some point, if they keep running this back and it continues to not work, then you need roster changes instead of just management changes.
Nick Cousins was called a rat by Kevin Bieksa on Hockey Night in Canada.
Good for him.
First off, there's been a couple of instances. I think the Jamal Myers and what was the debate they had?
Jeez. There were so many things during the holiday break where I was like, I wish we were doing shows right now.
Yeah.
It was who was it on the Wild? Ryan Hartman. Hartman high sticks Perfetti with the shaft of his stick. Like he's got full leverage. Like look how close his hand is to the like the impact spot on the stick. Like that must have fucking killed. I think a stick blade might have been better. But he gets Perfetti right in the face on purpose as retribution. And he gets a fine for it, which is actually ridiculous because Ryan Hartman has been suspended 3 times, twice in 2023, and this is his 7th fine. He has been disciplined by the Department of Player Safety 10 times in his career. And at what point do you graduate from you don't get fines anymore? Like, at what point do they give you the Draymond Green treatment where they, like, if someone does what Draymond did, which was the big spin around punch, most players in the NBA simply get a punishment for it. Mm-hmm. But with him, they were like, dude, you need to relax.
Yeah.
You need to relax. And they suspended him 12 games. He had to do a whole program, X, Y, and Z. At what point does the league go, Ryan Hartman needs to relax? Well, we already know they're not going to do that because they are just a rudderless ship. Kangaroo court.
Yeah.
Thank you. Noted Alan Walsh client. They are just clueless as to what to do about this. And they have decided, you know what? Ryan Hartman's great and everything, but we need to usher in the next generation of dudes who can get away with anything and we won't do anything. And that's where Nick Cousins comes in.
Yeah. So that debate went viral with Jennifer Botterill and Jamal Myers, and then Kevin Bieksa went viral because he rightly called out Nick Cousins. This is stemming from a few incidences, but the most recent one is the one against the Coyotes where he hit a guy from behind, and then
Valimaki.
Yeah, and then Zucker comes up and basically plasters his teeth right into the boards.
Jesse, I don't know if you can bring this up because obviously we can't show the footage.
Yeah.
I need someone to explain to me, like I am a 5-year-old child, like I am in kindergarten, like they are explaining hockey to someone for the first time. I need someone to explain how Cousins hit on Valimaki gets nothing, not a suspension, not a fine, nothing. And Kadri gets 3 playoff games for his hit on Tommy Wingels. That is the same frigging thing.
Or even, you know what I thought was Kyle Clifford. Remember he got suspended in the first game against the Tampa series 2 years ago, and it was the same hit.
No,
it was from behind.
Clifford was at least hitting an opponent who was standing up, I believe.
Yes, yeah.
With Ross Colton. The reason I bring up Kadri on Tommy Wingels is he was also hitting a downed opponent with his ass from behind. Now, you can't do that. I'm not saying Kadri should have got nothing. You got it right on Cousins.
Yeah.
I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying if what Kadri did is 3 playoff games, we should be talking about at least 5. We should be talking about an in-person hearing for Cousins. But this league doesn't care. It doesn't care. And also,
he's also a Florida Panther, and I do want to mention that Peros was a longtime Florida Panther.
Well,
and I think there might be a bit of bias.
We'll get there. We'll get there. It is no longer an eligible argument to say, yeah, but you can't take injury into account. The NHL takes injury into account with everything. Valimaki got up and he was fine. No penalty, no nothing. Zucker hit Cousins from behind. Cousins goes into protocol. There's your 3 games. That's the difference. They're both dirty hits on ineligible players. What are we doing here? And Bieksa, so We pointed out Cousins does this, Cousins does that. Bieksa hit him where it hurts. At the end of every incident with Nick Cousins, he's at the bottom of the pile, turtling, not sticking up for himself.
And you saw that with the Goodbranson hit.
You saw that with the Goodbranson hit. He
saw it all the way through the playoffs.
Appeared to be out of commission after Zucker. There was one last year that Bieksa highlighted on the broadcast that it's shameful. Oh my God. Like you just don't stick up for yourself. There's Bennett with the diving that I highlighted earlier this year. There's what he did to Nyes. Matthew Tkachuk. If there is a player who is already tied up scrumming with another opponent or the smallest guy on the ice, Matthew Tkachuk is making a beeline for that person. You saw who his target was against Colorado? Noted tough guy, Sam Girard. What?
Well, it's a guaranteed win.
It sure is.
Oh, you want to stack the deck?
He loves a guaranteed win. And what did Matthew Tkachuk do to Evander Kane in the playoffs, Battle of Alberta? He goes, you need some money? Need some money? He's taunting him. Is he throwing fists with him?
No.
Fox, no. He's going to get his ass kicked. You could say he picks his battles, I guess. This team, man. This is why they're my cup pick. Every few years, there's a team where the league goes, do whatever you want. And they ride it to a cup victory. You can't tell me the 2011 Bruins didn't do that against the Canucks. A Bruins fan pointed this out to me today. You can't tell me the 2019 Blues didn't do that to the Bruins.
Yeah, they did.
Like literally the Blues just kept taking penalties in the first couple games. Craig Berube gets on the podium and goes, hey, stop that. And then they did, and they simply won. They showed the front page of a newspaper in St. Louis where they joked about Bozak tripping Achari, leading to the game-winning goal. And I think this year's Stanley Cup champions is going to be the Florida Panthers. Who's going to tell them to stop? You either have to get the league to step in, pause for laughter, or you have to kick their ass. And I don't know if there's a team out there who can do it.
Well, I think it's going to be extra funny when Corey Perry signs there.
He is so signing there.
He's so a Panther.
He's
he's coming back, by the way.
Signing there.
He's coming back this season.
So he signed a $4 million contract with the Chicago Blackhawks. $2 million of it was paid in bonus. He played about a quarter of the season there, so he made about $500,000. Roughly, he made about $2.5 million. He's going to go to a tax-free state.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be made nearly whole. He's going to get a playoff bonus, and he might win a Stanley Cup.
We saw what happened when the Florida Panthers came up against a team that was bigger than them, and that was the Vegas Golden Knights.
They came up against a team
that was
bigger than them.
Build a better team. Like, what's your excuse?
And the Knights still have a better team.
Yeah, like I want to pour some cold water on. They're gonna run through everybody because we literally saw a team who was built better than them beat them and beat their ass.
They will simply be stopped. Once they get to the Stanley Cup final.
No, I'm saying everybody else, you can build better teams.
You can.
Vegas, they've done a masterful job there, and they've built this giant, tough, skilled team.
I think if you're in the Atlantic Division, Leafs, you look at this team. I mean, how are the Bruins not also looking at the Panthers? They have to, especially after what happened last year.
Yeah.
I mean, the Lightning, I assume, would like to make the playoffs. My assumption is the Panthers are going to win this division, and every team in the Atlantic has to prepare for them. But anyway, I'm getting away from the conversation. The conversation is Kevin Bieksa is 100% right that Cousins is a rat, an absolute rat. And the conversation keeps coming back to, fighting and the blah, blah, blah. Like, the whole thing here, like with rats running the league, and all the players used to police themselves. No reputable sports league says, well, if you don't like that, the solution is simply drop your gloves and beat that person to death. Simply beat the shit out of that person. No reputable sports league is like, don't like what that person's doing? Stop what you're doing immediately and beat the fuck out of them. Break their orbital bone.
Well, you can fight in hockey.
You can fight in hockey.
Yeah.
Well, you can't.
What?
There's a penalty.
Erica Branson did that and got suspended.
Listen,
has not.
I've never wanted to go here, but I'm going to say it again because I think it's important for people in the back, and I'm wearing the full conspiracy theory. And after talking to Alan too on his episode about the Perron suspension, I'm like, this guy, like nothing bad ever happens to the Panthers. And why do you think that is?
Peros is just shocking. He's so shocking.
Peros he's a pro Panther guy. Fine. Okay. Cool. But now we know that. Here's the thing. I think that the responsibility to correct the play of the Florida Panthers is the Boston Bruins. The Boston Bruins owe the rest of the league a debt. Or they owe the rest of the league. You guys created this. Mm-hmm. You guys are this, and they're just a little bit younger version of what you were 5 years ago. And you need to go in like a dad or an older brother and correct this behavior. It is completely on the Boston Bruins to correct this.
I thought you were going to say
on the ice or off?
On the ice. The Boston Bruins need to go in and say, sorry, you're not as good at this as we are.
I don't know if they can.
I don't think they can.
I thought you were going to say it's their fault because they couldn't score 1 or 2 overtime goals when they had many chances last season to close out that series.
Maybe.
And
That's
they
also
created
true.
them by allowing them to defeat the greatest regular season team of all time.
Play an injured goalie in a shutdown center with no discs in his back.
Maybe you play the right goalie and everything's fine. Maybe you score 1 more goal and this whole thing isn't a thing.
Yep.
But
You've created this now, Boston.
Yeah.
So now go do something about it. They have to do something. This is on the Bruins. This is your responsibility. You created this. That's a good point, though, Jesse.
You were winning a series 3-1 and decided to bring in a guy who had an injury that would make it difficult to shovel the driveway. What? Who told you that was a good idea?
Yeah. So
what?
This is what I'm saying.
Anyway, so it's part of a larger conversation, but Bieksa was right. Mm-hmm. Cousins is a rat, doesn't fight his own battles. But the X factor is he just does whatever the fuck he wants. He does what, Jesse, put that on the screen.
I don't have that ability.
Sorry.
Wow.
But
that's fine.
Are you asking? So you're asking the league to?
This is okay.
You're asking the league to hey, don't be a rat anymore, Cousins.
Yeah, fucking suspend. Maddie, put it on the screen one more time. This is fine. This is okay. So the next time a player gets this from Cousins, you have a debt to the league. You have a debt to your peers. Here's what you do. You pretend like you're dead. I'm not kidding.
And then you sit out 4 to 6
You
weeks.
literally,
Just so
the next time someone does, his skates are off the fucking ice. Look at this shit. Mm-hmm. This got nothing. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Cousins' skates are off the ice. He is hitting a player who is on his knees in the head. So the next time this happens, you go down and you don't move. And your teammates have to play their part. You call for the stretcher. I'm not even kidding, by the way. You think I'm being facetious. Your teammates call for the stretcher. You get ruled off.
You're asking NHL players to fake a stretcher.
Oh, yeah, they've never done that. Oh,
They never faked a stretcher.
Yeah.
They never faked a stretcher. No one's faking a stretcher.
Yeah, well, go big or go home. Go big or go home.
I think that's a bridge too far.
Yeah, you kept running, and somebody should have told Forrest Gump to stop.
Fine.
Take this off ramp. Take the next one. Take the next one.
getting
Right,
pretty
this one.
tired.
There it is. It's going
Okay,
by.
fine.
All right,
Fine.
then take him to the hospital.
Okay.
We'll get the doctors involved. Diagnose him with something fake.
Well, okay, fine. You can't get
Then
the
all the
stretcher guy
nurses
in
need
on
to
it.
be into it,
You
too.
can't get the stretcher guy in on it. So
Call
you have
the ambulance driver.
You have two
Make
of
sure
your
he's paid off.
You have two of your teammates heroically. You put your hands around both shoulders as they heroically take you off.
Yeah.
You show up to. You announce tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
You will. So and so will be. Or no. Tomorrow you won't be available to the media. You're still too hurt.
No, keep
You
going.
wait a day. You wait a day. You show up to media availability in a neck brace.
Yeah.
I like this. I'm going to just sit back.
No, because this is the only way to get them to give a vague shit.
Or the Boston Bruins can do what the Boston Bruins should have done.
Abandon hockey altogether and
Just
beat the shit out of you.
correct the behavior, Boston. Trent Frederick, I'm looking at you. Okay? I'm looking at Brad Marchand. I'm looking at all those guys. This is your formula. Don't let a cheap copy in a cheap suit take your formula and run with it and win a cup with it.
Now, the solution should be to simply play better hockey.
Yeah. But that's not.
And this isn't, but the lesson to be taken from this is, well, then simply build a better hockey team than the Florida Panthers. I think a bunch of teams in the NHL have. The problem is they get to do whatever the fuck they want.
Again,
But I mean, I don't know. It'll just be, salty Leaf fan. The Leafs lose to everybody. You're not special.
Listen, we could be salty about the Blackhawks getting another outdoor game because the NHL is doing everything they can to rebuild that brand. We could be salty about that.
Valimaki, anyway, I think players are at risk because Valimaki got up.
Yep.
I liked it when you were trying to pay off the ambulance.
I like that
drivers
better.
To bring out the stretcher and wheel them off to a hospital and create a fake injury.
Get a helicopter.
Your Italian was showing with all the money being handed over the
so
table.
we're just going to...
like, paying off the whole regime.
Hey, the PWHL finally kicked off over the holidays as well. There's so much to talk about after 2 weeks, like the World Juniors and all that. But the PWHL was such a victory, having it start with Toronto and New York. And of course, Toronto loses in painful style because that's the way it has to be.
Shut out at home.
Shut out. But you have 13,000 people show up in Minnesota. You have 8,000 people show up in Ottawa. You've got the entire season sold out in Toronto.
First ever jailbreak goal.
It's such a great rule.
Yeah.
So
Such
in
a great
the PWHL, and they announced this like the day the league launched.
Yeah.
If you score a shorthanded goal, penalty's over.
I love that, and I think the NHL will adopt that within 5 years. Guarantee it.
Yeah, they have that along with their 3-2-1 point system. Like those two rules are better than what the NHL has going right now.
Yeah. You still shouldn't get a
Fantastic way
point
to
for
set it
losing.
up.
Just throwing that out there. Should never get a point for losing.
No.
But you're right, guys. And then I think what was cool about it was like seeing the ratings afterwards, like 2.9 million people tuning into those games in Canada alone. That's wild.
And where they're like even smashing it more out of the ballpark is on YouTube, where they just upload the full game and you can just stream it there, and they're doing like 100,000 plus on every game. Like it's unbelievable.
Yeah, man. That's a no, they can't do that.
Imagine having
You don't
more
want
hockey to
people to
watch.
see too much of the product.
Yeah. No, none of these other leagues could just make your product available. Like, no.
Well, the thing is, like,
wanna-
I would understand if it had to be in the NHL or like in Canada, if Sportsnet had to be the one to do it. Like if they have it on their YouTube channel, not on the NHL YouTube channel, but have it instead of on the Sportsnet app, which I don't think is very good.
No, fun thing, Adam, they did this. They
Did they?
did this every Saturday night with a guy, I believe Steve Dangle. He streamed Watch a Leafs game with Steve Dangle, and you could watch the entire game back on YouTube. It was just there with Steve in the corner yelling, and sometimes be full screen just on Steve. But like the game was there. This was an entire thing that they could do, and the PWHL is just taking this and run with it.
Yep. And good for them. And when you're promoting a product, you want to reach as much audience as possible. And the thing was, I was sitting there watching it going, great, I got more hockey to watch.
And Steve, those numbers sucked, right? Like nobody watched those streams.
No, it was only a few, like 100,000.
Yeah,
It's only a few.
it's just crazy.
Except for that one time I did a Oilers Habs regular season game. But no, the numbers were usually pretty good.
No, it's just crazy that these novel ideas work.
We need more hockey.
I also wanted to shout out Caitlin Kramer from the IIHF U18 World Championship team for Canada, who broke Marie-Philippe Poulin's record, scored her 13th and 14th goals at the tournament.
That's ridiculous.
MPP's mark was 13. That was Canada's all-time leading score at the tournament. So Caitlin Kramer beats that record. So that is somebody I'd be watching out for in the next draft.
No kidding. Oh my God.
Yeah.
No, Marie-Philippe was, I mean, still is, but like, especially when she was younger, was automatic. So automatic. She had both of Canada's goals in the 2-0 gold medal win in 2010, and she's still playing.
What did you think of the Team USA players kissing the crowd in Gothenburg after winning the World
That's
Juniors?
fun.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, why not, right?
Go for it. Like
Was it Rutger McGorty? Still
Tucker McGrorty, yeah. Who is a Screamo legend. Oh my God. Did you see him in the locker room afterward?
No.
Oh my God. He had like full-blown Alexis on fire lungs.
Oh, yeah?
Screaming the Team USA chant that they do every time they win.
Incredible.
And which we got acquainted with in 2010. God, that made me upset. No, like, is it disrespectful? Yeah. I think that was the point. It's sports. Like, that's not crossing a line in the least.
I know. I always wonder why we have to, like, you're at two opponents and you're essentially fighting to the death. Why do we have to be like, it was like what Don Cherry used to be like, oh, don't embarrass the team. They might come back and beat you. How about you just play better?
How
And why
about
does
we
the
show
player
up?
have to be nice to the crowd?
Yeah.
How about we audit the things the crowd said to the player?
Yeah. Like, I don't understand that. I don't understand why you expect this level of decorum
bet it was nice.
from the player. Like,
I bet it
doesn't
was
make
real.
sense.
Exactly.
Let him go off. What do you guys think about the argument that Canada doesn't send their best team? You know, like Connor Bedard should be on the team and all that stuff. So losing in the World Juniors isn't as painful.
Stop making excuses.
Stop moving the goalposts too.
Like, Connor Bedard is too good for that tournament. He's in the NHL. So send the best that are not in the NHL. And if you don't win, you don't win.
So when you win, it matters. When you don't, it doesn't.
Yeah. I think,
come on.
Listen, that's a lot of cope, and I get it. We were sad to lose to Czechia in the quarters, and that's not the team stunk, man. The team wasn't good. Couldn't score.
They played Czechia.
They didn't score. Couldn't score. And I think, it's great that they, the deserve to win a meter, I bet, was off the charts. And as Leaf fans, we know that's the real victory, is the deserve to win a meter.
No.
Oh, they outplayed Czechia. They didn't fucking win. It's a one and done tournament. You didn't win. So as Canadian fans, you go, what are we going to do to make our program better? Yeah. And unfortunately, Hockey Canada has been so mired in the bullshit that they created that they haven't noticed that also their program is falling behind. And there have been warning bells about that for years now.
The best U18 program in the world won. The United States has it.
But do you have to make your program that much better when you have guys
U20.
who are too good, even though they're in the program, but they're too good for that program?
That's the problem.
Because there's another league and they can go play in that league, so they're not in your program anymore because they're so good.
But Jesse, it's the concentration of great players in Canada that supports that. Hockey Canada should look at what Germany's doing. They should look at what the US is doing. They should look at Finland and Sweden. Who cares that you have the best talent pool? If your team is not being developed the way, and listen, they still have the best players. But if you can't send a team to that tournament and win, and you're Canada, and you have the best players, then there's a problem with your program.
It's coaching and execution too. There was, do you see the tweet going around about how they overpassed? They had some sort of stat where they passed up something that it was dozens and dozens of opportunities for a shot that they then went for a pass. And it didn't lead to more offense, did it?
Yeah. And by the way, if you're a Canadian fan and you're pissed off that they lost, you should be. I expect Canada to win every time because we have the best players and we should win. And if we don't win, I'm going to be upset about it. That's my standard. And I make no apologies about it. But I'm not going to be a fucking piss baby about other people's programs. I'm going to criticize our own and expect better next year.
No Canadian wants to hear this. It's not such a bad thing when other teams win.
No, it's bad.
Well,
it's bad for me. I don't like it.
It falls flat when the final is USA-Sweden, two teams that could conceivably be there any year.
Sure.
But I remember taking so much shit for saying something similar when Finland won. And you go back and look at that Finland team, Puljujärvi, Laine, Aho, Kapanen. That team was ridiculous. It was completely ridiculous.
You are going to have good years.
You're going to have really good years. But dude, the Czech Republic is not there as a hockey program to show up every year, lose 12-0 and get their ass kicked. They're there to compete, and they might just beat you. They're a really solid hockey country. Part of Canada's road to gold in 2010 with the Olympics one of the stories that we gloss over and don't really remember, holy shit, did they come close to losing to Slovakia in the semis. Holy shit. It was 3-2. I think it was 3-0 and Slovakia made it 3-2. And Pavel Dimitra had a golden opportunity to beat Luongo and he missed or hit the post or something like that.
Yep.
Dude, it's not bad for the sport when other teams get a kick at the can. You know, I don't love Latvia showing up and getting blown out every game. I like seeing a competitive Czech Republic team. I like seeing a competitive German team. It's good. It's good for the sport. The sport's biggest problem is not enough countries are good at it, because that means not enough countries like it enough to get good at it, right? So this is great. It sucks for Canada because we expect to win every year.
Right.
Well, it's not what's best for the sport.
Yeah, the other day, the best team on paper heading into the tournament and like the favorites on the board won the tournament.
Yeah,
so
they won.
Like nobody should be surprised that Team USA won. Canada was knocked out early. You know,
I would love to cheer for a Fraser Minton, Easton Cowan 2-0 breakaway goal to win gold, but wasn't meant to be.
No, best team won.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think that covers it. There's definitely stuff we've missed, but we also have Wednesday and Friday this week to cover them, plus anything else that happens. A lot happened. This was the most eventful Christmas break I can remember.
Oh my God.
So it's good. We'll save some press conference questions for next time. Is that fair?
I'm trying to think about any hockey things that happened, but yeah, there's always Wednesday.
I'm sure we missed something.
Yeah.
We need to spend more time on Rem Pitlick.
I think so too. I like that. So we will see you on Wednesday. Remember, there's only a few tickets left for the Kingston Frontenacs, and be on the lookout because there will be some All-Star Game announcements from SGPN coming very soon. Keep your calendar open.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.